Hi, Tribe Builders. This is Tanya Rooney, and I'm really fucking stoked to talk to this dude today. This guy is an intimidatingly awesome, really caring, and super cool fucking guy that I met a few years ago when he was taking pictures of Flip Hacking Live, which was one of my original masterminds that I was a part of. And then we've just crossed paths like a handful of times over the last few years, most recently at a mastermind about hotels. And I'm really excited to talk about the shit that he's built because I actually think he's quite fascinating. He doesn't think he is quite as fascinating, but whatever. We're gonna get into it. So, without further ado, Alex Felice. Hi, how are you?
Hi. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Awesome. So, can you tell my people what are you known for?
How do I know what other people know me for?
You do know.
Most of the people I know are from the real estate investing community. I spent a lot of time in the real estate investing community, and about 4 years ago, I kind of it's been a struggle, but I left. I stopped investing in real estate. I haven't really bought anything since 2021, and I went full time as an artist. And now I see people because my social circle and my world is still investors and entrepreneurs. And it turns out this internet fad is not going away, and everybody wants to look cool and seem cool on the internet. And so I found really interesting ways to blend my art, my camera art. I'm a photo video creator, and this entrepreneur circle. And the more I do it, the more I realize there's a really big opportunity for both myself and my entrepreneur friends to tell stories. And so I think I don't know if that's what I'm known for. I'm probably known most for shit talk. I'm a big shit talker. But if you see me, I'm with I'm always holding a camera, and I'm always at some entrepreneur real estate event. So those combination of three things is how probably people know me.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That is actually, those are all the things that I would have summarized if I had to explain you. So, can you tell me about the community around you, and what that has done for you, I guess.
What do you mean? What community? Like
I'd probably say,
I'm a
go
bit of a
ahead.
misfit. I don't I don't feel like I fit in anywhere really, really well. I'm part of a couple different communities, and to my own detriment, sometimes I always have one foot in, one foot out. I like my wild independence and my wild individuality. So I'm part of a bunch of different communities. But I'm not allegiant to anything or anyone.
Which communities?
The one that's closest to my heart is called the War Room. It's a military and veteran. You started out as real estate. Now it's kind of becoming an entrepreneurial group. It's small. It's intimate. It's all veterans. Those are my people. I'm a veteran.
Mm-hmm.
I speak that language. That's the one that's nearest and dearest to my heart. And it's grown into something that we never imagined when it started 5 years ago. I was part of Brendan Turner's Better Life community. In fact, I started it before it was even launched. I helped launch it in 2022. It launched in early 2023. And, there was a media component to doing that. I was a big part of Bigger Pockets in the community and the online forums for years. I go to their event most years, or mostly every year. And outside of that, I have a small little digital community of people that I collect along the way, other misfits that we do. There's nothing formal. In fact, there's no structure or organization at all. It's kind of chaos, which I like. Not everybody else likes it, but that's a non-paid, sort of non-organized, non-structured, just, again, people I collect. And then, there's all sorts of little subgroups and people I know that have stuff. I just went to Jay and Wendy Papazan's One Thing conference, and I met them and kind of got integrated into that community. So I'm a bit of a adventurous soul when it comes to, communities. I'm part of a lot of different little subgroups.
That's super cool. How do you feel like you found most of these? Like, I feel like people need to build their network and their community, like in every aspect of life, because it just makes things fucking easier, honestly, when you have people you can talk to about things. But can you tell me, like, how you even stumbled upon some of these groups?
Yeah, look, I'll preface everything I say with the fact that I am an extrovert. there's nothing on this planet I love more than people. And, with that in mind, that's not how everybody feels. Some people are less extroverted. Some people are very much introverted. So my way won't work for everybody, but if I could share just kind of the broad strokes of how I approach this, hopefully it'll be useful to a broad number of people who don't identify as hyper extroverts. I think you grow when you engage with a little bit of discomfort, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, no matter what it is, whether it's in cameras or creativity or business, you have to engage with a little bit of discomfort. And there's this really interesting phenomenon when you will go and put yourself out there a little bit and be a little bit uncomfortable, whether it's a Facebook group, whether it's DMing somebody you don't know and trying to start a friendship, or whether you go to a conference or you go to a networking event, a retreat, a mastermind. When you go to these things, there's a really interesting phenomenon where everybody else who's at those things has traveled, they've paid, right? They have skin in the game. They have commitment. And so when you walk up to somebody at Bigger Pockets or 7-Figure Flipping or Boutique Hotel Con, Boutique Hotel Con was interesting because it's very niche. It's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Right.
It was.
And you had to pay. And so it's like, well, here's 100 other people, 50 other people that like the same thing I like, are willing to go to the middle of nowhere to learn about it. And you just have this instant, in the Venn diagram of, will I like this person? You got really tight really quickly. And so these groups take a lot of the guesswork out of, will I overlap with somebody else there? And so you go to these things, and that's a big level of discomfort. And then, man, if you just shake a few hands, I don't know. Again, I love people. I love all of them. I love people who are flawed. I love people for how they are, not how they should or could be. And so I meet somebody like Tanya, and I'm like, dude, you're cool. This is great. And then I meet somebody else, and I have the blessing where I'm like, oh, this guy, this wackadoo, this weirdo, he's cool too. I don't have the need to be best friends with everybody. I understand that some people are like onions. They don't really they're private. They don't really like to open up very quickly. And so they need a small number of really, really close friends to trust in life. And I have some of those, but I'm just not built that way. I like to have I'd love to have 10,000 best friends. That's the way I am. So to some, I would say, how do you get in these groups? I would say, have an unbelievably optimistic, positive attitude. Nobody wants to hear your complaints, your whining, and your attitude, no matter what it is, good or bad, is contagious. Your attitude every single day you wake up, it is contagious. So have a freaking good one. Spread that around. That's number one. 2, put yourself in a little bit of discomfort. Go somewhere new. Try something. It doesn't have to be huge. You don't have to spend $50,000 for a highly exclusive mastermind, but go somewhere. Spend a little bit of money. Put some skin in the game. Have a little discomfort. And then when you get there, we can go down this rabbit hole of how to make this transition, this process easier. I have all sorts of little tips and tricks that we can go down the rabbit hole, but, shake some hands, meet some people, give some people your time, listen to their story. And you'd be surprised when, Tanya and I, we don't talk outside of, this is the first time we've talked outside of events. And yet I've seen you at like 5 events. Mm-hmm. The circles of people who are committed and optimistic and trying, the circles become very small very quickly. Yeah. So that little bit of effort and that little bit of discomfort, that little bit of attitude, it just goes so far. But if you do none, there's no return on investment on 0. So it really is. It's just really that simple. It's just have a good attitude and try.
Yeah, I respect all the things that you just said, because I agree. Like, you just have to show up. That's it. Like, even if you're uncomfortable, just show up. That's the only thing you really have to at least start with.
Yeah, there's ways I could say, there's other things that will boost, that make it easier. I have a huge advantage that I carry around a camera. And so in a weird way, it's like a prop. If you wore a suit, if you wore a big costume, if you wore a glittering, glowing dress, people would be like, what do you got going on? This person's fascinating. So you can edge yourself into, a more conversations by, I don't want to say hacks, but props. And there's ways to increase your edge. But, I have a camera. People then ask, where can are you getting good photos? It just becomes a conversation starter. So, these things help. But in the end of the day, it really is just show up, have a good attitude, look somebody in the face, smile, hi, shake your hand. Who are you? Tell me what you got going on. Why are you here? How can I make your life better? It's like that's 99% of it.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like, okay, so this is like I've never really asked this question to anybody, but I'm curious now about you. Do you have, so you have all kinds of friends and mentors. Like I know that's how your life has gone. It's how a lot of real estate investors' lives have gone. But can you tell me about something you were really surprised at, like that you made a friend or a connection that it was under like kind of a weird circumstance or something, and maybe you still talk to them today?
Dude, all the time.
I bet.
I mean,
Because you're
dude,
extroverted.
all the time. Yeah, well, just this is where I talk smack about nerds a lot. Nerds, people who try to they try to calculate and plan life really well, and
Mhm.
like life doesn't. What's the old joke? Like you want to make God laugh, make a plan. Um, so I'll give you an example. I was on the Bigger Pockets forums and I was just chit chatting, and I mentioned often that I was in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and some guy reaches out to me. He's like, "Hey, I bought a couple properties in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and I'm going to be in town to check on them. Would love to get a beer." Guy's name is Lee Huffman. He's a FinCon veteran. I mean,
Mhm.
I've now known him 10 years. I mean, I wouldn't have bought my first property without him. We're still friends. We've been to the Grand Canyon together. I've been to his timeshare in Cabo a couple times. Like we became buddies just from a Facebook or a Bigger Pockets forum post. Another one, when I was still new, I was at the bank. I was working at making $45,000, working as a opening bank accounts, and a guy comes in, and he's like, I don't know how to do banks, but like I have 22 houses, rentals, they're all paid for, and I want to see if I can get a loan, but a bank has never gone anywhere near me. So like, could I get a loan on something like this? And I remember I had bought my first property. I was trying to buy my second. I was like, dude, I want to be you. I will help you get a loan, but can you help me, outside of this meeting? Like, can we get lunch some other time, and can I learn? He is now my longest, best partner, one of my closest friends. We bought 84 apartment units together. I ended up helping him grow his property management business from 15 units, or excuse me, from 40 units, 22 of which were his, 40 units to now he has 600.
Holy
Guy
shit.
walked into the bank one day and just said something about real estate, and I'm like, real estate? Let's tell me everything.
You're perked
And
up.
I'll give you another one. In 2018, I was on the Bigger Pockets podcast. It went okay. In 2019, they had the conference. I saw Brandon there. I didn't talk to Brandon. Brandon's popular. Everybody wants to get a piece of Brandon. I was going to take his time up. I talked to him for like 5 minutes, took a picture of him because I had my camera. Was not paid for the conference, just taking pictures. When I left, a week later, they called me and they said, hey, the guy we hired to do the photography did an okay job, but he doesn't know who these people are. He was just a photographer. So he didn't get any pictures of Brandon Turner because he doesn't know who Brandon Turner is,
Mm-hmm.
which was funny. Do you have any pictures of Brandon Turner? Sure do. We became friends. 4 years later, when Brandon needed a photographer to start the Better Life podcast, I got a call.
Mm-hmm.
So if I hadn't have gone to BPCon every year and paid, I ended up being their photographer officially, and I got that gig. Like, dude, you just don't know. And I don't even plan life anymore. I plan, it's like they always say, like, don't plan outcomes, plan actions.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I think about it. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen in life. I'm very optimistic that any of my plans are going to pale in comparison to the luck that I could create for myself if I just have a good attitude, shake a lot of hands, find out what my gifts are and give those away. I'm gifted with the camera. I'm gifted with people. I try to give that away. And then, just try to serve. How can I make your life better? You need some media? Here it is. You need to know somebody? Here, I know that person. I can introduce you. And then the rest kind of like works out. But if you plan it, I'll give you a quote. One of my favorite quotes from my favorite book, Infinite Jest, which I don't recommend anybody read, but it's one of my favorites. Destiny has no beeper. destiny always leans in trench coated out of an alley with some sort of that you usually can't hear because you're in such a rush to or from something important that you've tried to engineer. So that is how my life has been. So when you say, like, have you ever had something interesting or weird or something unexpected happen? Yes. That's how the big wins of my life have come. Unprepared, unplanned. Everything that I've planned has been too small, too slow, boring, and distraction from the big opportunity that you're not looking for.
Yeah, I think this is a really, yeah, I agree with all of this stuff. It resonates really, really quite a bit with me because I think people do. They get caught up in these goals. They get caught up in all these things, and then they might even turn into other people's like stuff that they're caught up in. Is like, do you really want to have 100 rentals? Do you know what it looks like to have 100 rentals? Do you actually want fucking 100 rentals, or do you just want the money that you think comes with them because you think that that person has a really easy life because they have 100 rentals and the money coming in from 100 rentals? Like, you start chasing other people's goals when you're doing all this planning amongst your own shit, but the more that you just kind of like take your hands off the steering wheel, you'd be surprised at the cool shit that can happen.
Yeah, I thought I wanted to build a big capital raising syndication business, and I got into it, and I was like, this is a lot of work for not that much more money. Mm-hmm. Now you get the blessing of being responsible for other people's money, which is a blessing. Mm-hmm. But I don't make much more. My life would be a lot simpler if I just gave 10 more rentals to Roderick, that partner that I have, right? And it's like I have to do nothing, and I'd have more money, and then I could do more art. So, I don't look. Everybody's figuring life out. What do I know? You got to kind of go through things and try things. But I would say at the end, to sum up what you're to kind of piggyback on what you're saying, is like everybody's learning how to life from other people. So don't be afraid to change your mind if you realize that what the other person taught you wasn't right for you. Or another one that we're finding out a lot lately is like people are doing things that even they find out isn't the right thing to do. So you're like, well, you told me to buy 100 rentals, so I went off about 100 rentals. And then you've talked to that guy after you get like, I got 100 rentals, it's a pain in the ass. How do you deal with it? He's like, oh yeah, it turned out I didn't want to do that. I sold them all. And you're like chasing somebody else's advice that they gave up on. So it really, independent thought and action is truly independent thought and action is a very difficult process. It's very easy to just do what somebody else is doing, and you look at it and it looks like it's working from the outside. Truly independent thought without social pressure and without ego and without conformity is very, very difficult to do. But the closer you can get to saying like, I don't need what those people are doing, I'm going to do what I want to do, even if it's not cool or popular, or leaving real estate investing to become a photographer is a dramatic social status reduction. You know what I mean? But you kind of got to not care.
Pause. So I had some intense technical difficulties last week when I was recording with Alex. He goes on to record because he was hoping like it was just going to be a quick stint. For some reason, my internet connection was fucked last week. So you can listen to Alex talk about his fiance and her amazing business and a couple of other rambly things. It is 2 minutes and 21 seconds. So you could push the 30-second skip 4 times and you'll be at about where it's at. Or for my entertainment and because he's awesome, I'm gonna keep this fucking thing in because this is seriously what happens, you guys. Sometimes you're recording and shit fucking happens and it's a pain in the ass, but this is life and this is like real world life, so I'm gonna keep it fucking in. So yeah, bye.
Well, Tanya left, so I'm entertaining the show by myself now. I think she got kicked off. I'd be curious to know what kind of editing she does. I wonder if she's going to leave this in. This is the internet's is a funny place. You have all this really wild tech, and it's all high speed and fast, and then sometimes it just drops off. If you are listening to this and she doesn't cut this out, stop what you're doing, message me at Instagram, Alex Scott Felice, and say, dude, this is a great show. I appreciate the intermission, quick little intermission. And let's all make fun of Tanya. Let's make fun of her real quick. Say, Tanya, get your shit together. Well, how's this happening? How am I still talking and you're not back? How is this possible? I wonder if her power went out. What the heck? I'm going to run the rest of the show. It's the day before Thanksgiving. Hope everybody's having a good time. Okay. Doing a podcast by yourself is difficult. For sure. My family is outside the room doing, making food or quilting, getting quilt stuff ready. My fiance started a quilt store in May of this year. She's doing tremendously well. You can follow her at Quilt with Miss Kate on Instagram if you're into quilting. And her mom's in town. So her mom's a quilter too. She owns a quilt store in Virginia. And so they're all out there having a little blast. I hope everybody has big Thanksgiving plans, although I will say this is probably going to come out after Thanksgiving, I imagine. That seems pretty inevitable. So I wonder if you have big Christmas plans. I will be in Virginia hanging out with the fam, mostly her family. My family and I are not on great terms. Don't recommend that. And yeah, I think maybe that's all I have to talk to about without somebody to talk to. Doing a solo podcast was not in my bingo card, and it's very difficult. So I think I'm gonna exit here. Appreciate all of you. Thank you, Tanya. I had a great time. Great questions. I wish you well. I'm more than happy to re-record if you get your shit together.
Okay, back from technical difficulties. Okay, Alex, can you tell me a little bit about?
Wait. You think you're just gonna be able to come back on the air, and I'm just gonna let this slide?
Okay. I had extreme technical difficulties, and Alex saved the day by continuing to talk for a while. And then...
Yeah, it's probably going to get cut out because it was not good, but...
After my pleading emails, yeah,
we do have to shame you a little bit.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't know what the fuck to do. I blame the brick walls. This is not a background. This is literally where I live, and I just blame the brick walls at this point because I don't know what else to fucking do.
It's okay. We have to give grace to... Podcasting is like... It's easy to talk to people. It's hard to podcast. It's a lot of technical.
Yeah. There's some shit that I'm still green enough that I'm learning it. My setup is nowhere near where it could be. But I might go rent an office now after this.
It happens.
It's a hard wire.
It's all good.
Okay, jumping back in now. Can you tell me about you built a cool community? I mean, you built cool communities for yourself. But you built a community for somebody else. Like, they literally asked you to build a community. Can you, like, kind of talk about, like, I mean, you built it from scratch. He had a following, you had a following, but still.
Brandon Turner has a following. I have friends. There's a big difference. Yeah, I mean, Brandon had exited Bigger Pockets, and he was looking for a new project, and private communities are kind of the hot rage right now, and he looked at that and said, we can Bigger Pockets sells information as a product, and he's like, I really don't want to do that, and I don't blame him. I think information as a product is kind of done. That era of the internet is gone. There's nothing that you need to know about this world that you can't find on the internet for free. I think paying for information is kind of is an era that's passed. So private communities though are rising, and they're very difficult to do correctly because relationships are not a product, and you can't productize them. But anyways, he wanted to start this project, and he wanted to put a podcast around, and I did. And I love people, and I'm good at video production, so I was a good fit to do both. So I flew out to Maui and lived there for a year and a half, and we built this thing. I mean, communities are interesting. It really comes down, in my opinion. There's a lot to unpack, but I think if you can be somebody who has a high level of give a shit about people, then you can build a community. Is it more complicated than that? Yes, but that's the big core of it. If you're just like, hey, I'm here, I care about you, I want to help you, and you have some kind of a mission in mind, then you can build something. I have a high level of give a shit, so when Brandon wanted to do this, I was like, you want me to come here and just make people feel seen and, help them with their problems and give them, a bit of a pathway to succeed. This is light work for me, very light. So I went out there, we built it from scratch. I'm also very good at quick start. You want something that doesn't exist, you need to get a market fast. I'm good. As soon as it exists and you just need to like systemize and optimize and run the machine, I'm useless. I don't want to do it. So I'm very good at like, I have a new project. I want to launch it. I want to get it to market. I know it won't be perfect. I'm great. But if you have something that, if you have something that already exists and you're like, Alex, we just need to make it, somebody has to wake up every day and run this machine. I quit.
You're
I quit immediately. No, I quit.
Can you tell me, was there anything really surprising that happened in the community that you guys weren't really expecting?
Yeah, it's way harder. There's interesting things that's hard to do. There's things that are hard to overcome. One of the ones that was really surprising is the friction of software barrier, meaning, we built our platform on our community on a platform called Circle, which is a popular community platform. But if you don't use Circle, why would you open the app? You don't have that app. So to get somebody to download the app and then use that app regularly is very difficult. The software friction, it's just easier to go to Instagram because you're already on Instagram. It's just easier to go to Facebook because you're already on Facebook. So the friction of getting people to go and check the app regularly is hard. And then secondly, now you're on this you have this app, but the only thing you do on that app is this community. So you open it, you check it, and then you leave. It's most people don't make content. Most people just consume content. So if you're not somebody who's going on there and posting every day, what happens is you now have a small number of people who have a friction to get to the platform, and then they don't actually use it. And there's nothing there for them to consume. So the friction of getting momentum for people to post and share and communicate and interact is very difficult. It's easier to do it on Facebook, but then you are limited to Facebook's tools, which are limited and they're not designed. They're not designed for community. Facebook's mission is to get you ads that are designed for you. So it is inherently an individualist platform. It does not benefit from you hanging out with your friends on that platform. It doesn't want that. It's created groups and these things, but it's like, that's not what it's for. What it's for is you having an individual experience, because then they can show you individual ads. So the friction of software is very hard. The other thing that's difficult, that's kind of surprising, is communities inherently don't scale really like a business. So you have these two forces that are actually in opposition to each other, because the way that the business does well is if it scales. Brandon's vision was 10,000 members paying $500 a month on average. And that's and then the idea was you're going to give that money away to charity. It's $50 million a year. That's great. You're not going to have 10,000 friends.
No, that's pretty tough.
You're not even going to have 1,000. So when the community started to scale, we started to experience unexplainable problems that are hard to pinpoint, of just like, you get in, it's 1,000 people. How do you find your 10 people? Because you're going to be friends with 10, 20 people. So how do you find your 10? And it's not a problem that's easy to solve. I don't know who the right 10 people for you are. And because it's a digital community, it's like, you don't really have a good way to get people to interact in a very meaningful way. So you have to get them in person. Well, now you have a customer basically who's paid $300 or $500 a month, who you have to say, hey, if you really want this, you have to go to the in-person meeting, which is more money. And then now it's a lot more inconvenient. And so you have a scalability problem that I believe is inherent with digital communities. I think if I had my way, kind of like I do with the Misfits is basically 100 people. I'm not trying to scale it. I don't want to. It's not a business. There's no money being made. There's no cost. It's a true community. So those are the two ones that were really surprising. Was this, and other groups have it too. GoBundance has this problem. Dave Perret and I in the War Room have sort of this problem. There's 400 members in War Room. I don't think we'll allow it to go past 500. You start to get weird effects as you get to that 900 or 1,000 people. So scalability and software friction.
Okay. No, that's totally cool. And has there been was there any like happy, like, holy crap, didn't expect that to happen within the community when it happened too?
No, I mean, I was very grateful that so many people saw the vision and were willing to put money up and pay. And actually, considering how much of a mess it was at launch, I'm actually very surprised how many people stayed throughout the first, I've renewed for more than, it's coming up on 2 years now, and how many people have stayed since day one. So, I look at that and go, there's something special there for these people. The churn's high. There's something special there for people. And if you can find your people in the group, then that's really all it is. When you asked me earlier, like, how do you, find all these communities and stuff? It's like, you just got to shake a lot of hands. You shake a lot of hands and you'll find people you like. And if you like somebody, you're like, how much is, in a weird way, you want to have a return on investment for joining these communities. I spent this money, I want to have a return on investment. But at the same time, I'm like, how much is your friendship worth?
Yeah, I pay for friends all the time at this point.
How much is friendship worth? Yeah, I mean, it's not paying for friends. It's paying for the opportunity to make a real friend. And if it costs me 500, 1,000, 10,000, and you make a lifelong friend, I just joined a very expensive entrepreneur group, and I'm like, I don't know if this is worth it. And then, Kate, one of the guys in the group, has a wife. Kate and her are going to be like lifelong friends.
So it's worth it.
I'll pay 10 grand for her to have a true lifelong friend. I'll pay 10 grand to have that access, to have that attempt. And we're only 2 months in, so I don't know what's going to happen over the next year. So I guess the big surprising thing is, I ended up leaving Better Life, and Brandon always says your vibe attracts your tribe. Me and Brandon Turner are like opposite type human beings. We are very different people. I love him, but we're very different. And the people that Brandon attract were people that liked Brandon. I was not there. People were not going there for Alex. So a lot of people that joined were very different than me. I was like, these are wholesome people. These are wholesome, nice, pleasant people. And I'm like, I like
a little less wholesome.
I like conflict and chaos and aggression. And that's just what I like, And so even though that place wasn't perfect for me, it really showed me that there's a place for you, even though it's not going to be a place for everybody. In fact, that's good, because you really want to find your people. You don't want to find some people.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I've noticed, like, I know you made the move from Maui to Austin, and I am interested in, like, the way you are, like, you're right. You just talk about, like, shaking hands. That's exactly what you're doing. And you do it via social media, and the fact you're just like, who wants to meet up? Like, who should I talk to? And I'm, assuming you're kind of just cultivating what your life in Austin looks like now in your friend groups.
Yeah, look, every dollar that you're ever going to make in this world, this is so important. I learned this early on in life. Every dollar that you're ever going to make in this world is going to come from a person. At the end of every business is a customer. You don't make money on real estate because you bought the house, cracked open the walls, and found money inside. You make money in real estate because you bought it from a person at a discount. You renovated it through a contractor person who did the rehab. You then rented it to a tenant, a person. You got a loan from the bank, a lender, a human being. There's people all the way down. And, that's it. That's all it is. It's people. And it turns out the most fulfilling thing in the world is not money. Anyways, it's relationships. So you meet people and it's like, dude, you win both. And people, they all need something. They all want something. So every single day that you shake a hand, you have an opportunity to serve. And you're like, oh, I can help that person get what they want. I mean, the list goes down of just, it is a people business. My introvert friends, I think sometimes feel like they're at a disadvantage. They're not. They just have to do it in a different way. But yeah, I mean, I met up with a kid yesterday. He's 28. He's got potential. There's no way that there's very little way that he can help me. But then I look at that person, I'm like, I'm going to be here. I'm never leaving Austin. He's never leaving Austin. So what's going to happen over the next 30 years? What can we do together over 30 years? He's ambitious. He's smart. I'm like, dude, how can I help you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, just take care of that person. And then one day, who knows what's going to happen, that we can maybe do some business, maybe, you know, break bread. Maybe I can, you know, make his life better. I don't know. Right now I'm meeting everybody because I don't know I'm not trying to manufacture. I'm not like, I didn't need to meet real estate investors. I'm like, no, I need to meet people who are optimistic, ambitious, and that's it. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
You have a good attitude and you want to do something with your life.
I think that's super cool. And I think you have it down. Like, I mean, your relationship with the person that, you know, he now has 600 doors that he property manages for. I mean, that was a relationship that you guys had push and pull in, and you both probably helped in different ways at what you're good at. So this kid, he's fortunate as hell because seems like you like to pour into people.
Everybody's good at something. I look at people in a weird way. I never want this to sound bad, but like I look at people like puzzle pieces. And so everybody is a complete human being in and of themselves. They're an individual. They have strengths and weaknesses, and they're not a piece of something. They are a whole person. But to do a business, to get things done, you have to work. It's teamwork. Everything is teamwork. So all I want to do is find out what this kid's good at, and then find the other person in the world who needs what he's good at and can do the thing that he's bad at. And then I'm like, you guys need to be friends. Roderick, my partner, he's like, you know, he wants to property manage. He wants to go to work every day. He's not a visionary. He's not a networker. And I'm like, okay, I know everybody and they have rentals. I'll bring him to you. All he has to do is the thing he's good at anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And all I have to do is go talk to people. And then I'm like, hang out, Roderick. And now Roderick's like, dude, you made me all this money. I'll help you out. So you don't really have to create anything. You just have to look at people, find out what they're good at, and then match them up with, it's the same thing with the real estate, right? You want to make money in real estate. Here's what you have to do. You got to find a wholesaler who has a house. What does that wholesaler want to do? All they want to do is find deals and get rid of those deals. So let them do what they're best at. Find deals. Okay, so you found a deal. Now you have a lender, private lender, banker, whatever it is, hard money lender. All they want to do is lend money. Mm-hmm. All they want to do is give money out. And then you find a contractor. What do they want to do? They want to rehab houses. They don't want to do all the other stuff. They just want to rehab houses. That's what they're good at. And then you have a tenant who's like, all I really need right now is a place to live. A property manager. All I want to do is get contracts so that I can rent the houses out. And then all I do is go find those 5 people and be like, hey, how about you can make money doing the thing that you want to do. The thing that you're best at. And I'll take a small percentage along the way. It's so simple.
Yeah.
And then everybody wins because they're all doing the part that they want to do.
Yeah, I like that it's boiled down so easily because it actually is. Like, I mean, that's what it comes down to is some people are really, really good at that thing. Why not just let them do that fucking thing? Don't be a bookkeeper if you don't want to be a bookkeeper.
I'm the most useless of all of my business endeavors. Mm-hmm. I am bad at doing things. I'm the most useless.
I'm like, what do you do? Everybody still wants to work with you.
Yeah, well, maybe some
maybe
do.
You don't have to be so hard on yourself because you clearly have talent. So people want to go.
I talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying. I'm like, this guy he's going to run the property.
He does
that guy's going to do the financials.
He does this actual.
That guy's going to do the thing. Mm-hmm. Look at this team that we have. Isn't this a great team?
I think it's awesome.
You know,
it sounds like you actually have figured out how to line yourself with the way that you should be. Like,
yeah, don't give me too much credit. It doesn't make that much money, but it when it lines up good.
Do you need a fuck ton more money? Or are you like, can you not live month to month?
I'd like to buy a house here in Austin, so I need. I do. They do cost about a fuck ton. Yeah. It's about the amount, but that's okay. It's like
still
we're gonna work hard. We're gonna buy our house. But yeah, I mean, I don't need that much money. And that's by the way, that is a secret that people forget when they get entrepreneurial. They start making a little bit of money, and then they're like, oh, now I'm successful, I can live a big life. They get lifestyle inflation. One of the things that I've done very well is I still live like a poor peasant. And that makes me really free because I really don't need much. And it also means I can walk away from things that aren't right. It means that people can't hold anything over me. I don't get stuck in projects and deals that I don't like because I'm like, dude, I don't need it. No matter how much money it is, I don't need it. So living light, staying light, having low expenses, making a lot of sacrifices, living like a freaking peasant, don't buy new clothes, don't buy a nice car, don't buy stuff, have a very low overhead. That's true freedom.
Yeah, I think that was the thing that I was kind of pointing out is like you figured out that you don't need a ton. Like I've realized that too. My financial freedom looks different than other people's because it doesn't necessarily mean this big lavish yada yada yada. It just means like I want to be able to go wherever I want, whenever I want, and mostly be able to afford the whole entire thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it also keeps you light. It keeps my soul light. I don't bear any financial mental burden when I'm out at events. I'm not thinking about the cost so much. I'm not, when I'm doing deals, I'm like, if this serves me, we can do it. If it doesn't, like, I don't need this to work out. So you become the ultimate negotiator because you're not desperate for the sale.
Yeah. Yeah. I've noticed that too.
And then the lightness, that optimism, that sort of, that lightness translates into how you talk to people. Cause then I'm like, I don't know, life's easy. I got a camera. My camera's paid for, bro. Film is cheap. It's like I need for nothing because I want for nothing. So and it also puts you in a position where you can serve, you can give a lot more than you have to ask for.
No, that's really cool. I love everything about this. Okay, what are you looking for right now that would be helpful?
Two things. I would love work. I would love creative work. Entrepreneurs, business owners, people who have, whether, I work a lot with people who raise money. So I think there's a big opportunity with syndicators and capital raisers they're selling returns instead of stories, they're selling deals instead of people. And I do not believe that people invest in deals. I believe people only invest in people. So there's a big opportunity there. If you have a brand or a story or a project or a business that you want to create some media around, and I'm very good at that. So I'm looking for work. And then on a personal side, this is mostly in Austin, but I have this personal sort of project that I'm doing where I want to put individual stories on camera, very raw, very unedited, 2 cameras set up, but like no B-roll, just somebody sitting there telling their story about where they are in life right now. Somebody who's willing to be vulnerable and somebody who's got some ambition and willing to kind of lay it on the line vulnerably, non-marketing, non-sales, put it on camera, put that on YouTube. I've recorded a few already. I've got more coming. And then the idea would be I want to be able to record this person every year or every other year for the next 10 or 20 years and sort of really see their story unfold against what they think is going to happen in the future versus what actually happens, and document people's lives. So I've been working on that. That's new, but it's coming along. Logistically, it's very difficult if they don't live in Austin, unless you want to pay for me to fly to you to put your story on camera and then do that every year. But that's something I'm working on right now.
That's awesome. Okay, and if somebody wants to reach out to you about that, where do they find you? What's the easiest way?
I'll give you a networking tip. You want a networking tip?
Absolutely.
I always tell people I'm easy to get a hold of. So you contact me whichever way is easiest for you. If you're on LinkedIn, you hit me up on LinkedIn. If you're on Instagram, you hit me on Instagram. If you like email, hit me up on email. I don't care. But if you want what's easiest for me, there is no easiest for me. You can hit me on Instagram, Alex Scott Felice. You can hit me on Facebook, Alexander Scott Felice. You can hit me on email, alex@lifeinlens.media. You can go to my website. Actually, I'm in the middle of redoing my website. It is lifeinlens.media right now. Or you can text me, 910-850-8127.
Awesome. Okay. I really appreciate you working through the nonsense with me. And I think you're fucking awesome. Like, I love getting to talk to people like you because you're super honest. And I said in the beginning, you're like intimidating. And I think it's just like your honesty is intimidating. It's like this weird, super It's a strange thing. I'm not intimidated by a ton of people. So geez, you get to be fucking special or something. But I think it's just because people that tell the truth, they just kind of scare people a little bit. And I love that about
Why?
you. Because I don't know, because you just don't know are you going to say something? I think it's like, are you going to recognize, the things that I think about myself that, are lacking? And you aren't, because you don't fucking know like the stuff that's going on in my life anyways. But I think that's, it just makes it, I don't know what it is. Like
No,
that's
no,
what
no.
it
I
feels
think you
like.
do know what it is. I want to go down this rabbit hole now because the truth is freeing. It's not scary.
Uh-huh.
So why are you scared of it?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you not telling yourself the truth about?
Probably all kinds of fucking things. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
are people really truthful with themselves? Like, truly, truly, truly? Probably not.
Philosophy says, most of philosophy, Dostoevsky, Nietzsche says, the easiest person to lie to is yourself, and the most dangerous.
Yeah.
I do not engage in self-deception. It's the same thing as living light. I don't bear the burden of self-deception, and therefore my words and my thoughts are very light. I don't have to think about, not to say I don't have to think about the ramifications of what I say, but lies come with they come with anchors. They come with burden. I don't tell any self lies. I don't tell any lies to anybody else. So communication is very light to me, and I also I have the blessing of I'm not particularly concerned with how many people like or don't like me. So if I'm like, hey, Alex said some hostile, aggressive, obnoxious thing and rude thing, and I don't like him, and I'm like, well, I mean, good. I have to have some percentage of people that don't like me, otherwise I'm not being myself. I don't want to be a people pleaser. But anyways, yeah, I'd love to have you go to therapy, record that session, and send it to me, because being intimidated by somebody telling the truth is, it's like that to me says you're worried about getting found out.
I don't think it's about what things you would recognize that because you say what you see, which I appreciate that you say what you see and like you tell it like it is, like it's right in front of you. But I think it's finding out what somebody else thinks about you. I think that's probably what it is, because I suppose I definitely care about what other people think about me, whether I'm trying to not or am. In certain circumstances, I just care, like because otherwise I don't know how to deal with the fucking grief of people not liking me, or a certain person that I really love and respect not liking me.
Yeah, somebody said Alex doesn't care what people think about him. That's not accurate. But I will say, I don't often think about what other people think about me. It's not that I don't care. It's that I don't think about it that much. And also, I definitely have this, I definitely have a bit of, certainly if for you to be an individual, some people are going to have to not like you.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard the other another Infinite Jest quote? This is a great podcast. Another Infinite Jest quote. You will care far less about what people think about you when you realize how seldom they do.
Yes. I tell people this all the time. I'm like, they're not even fucking thinking about you. They don't give a shit about your divorce. They don't give a shit about the car that you drive. They don't care. And if they do care, maybe they're not people you should fucking care about.
Yeah, or they're looking at your life either in jealousy, or they're looking at it in they're looking at it they're spending a lot of time wanting you to fail, which is from a
weird thing.
Social conflict aspect is a very good thing. You want your enemies thinking about you a lot more than you're thinking about them.
Interesting. You flipped that in a way that I was not expecting at all, because I agree. You would want them to, but I don't care. I guess I don't, if they want to think that, then fucking let them.
Yeah. Yeah. All these things are, yeah. Well, I appreciate that train of thought. I don't want to be intimidating to anybody, but I do know that I have some aspect of that, only because, sometimes you don't know what I'm going to say, and
yeah,
and I'm not afraid to say whatever I think.
I know,
so you're just like,
poor Kate. It's like,
Kate's
just
a blessing.
giving you a disclaimer. I know she totally is a blessing for you, because she probably calms you down a little bit, but she also probably like maybe she has to give people disclaimers. Hey, I don't know what he's going to say, but I love him. I think you
Yeah,
found your person. I think you
she's
found your
magical.
person. I'm
She's
glad
great.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate your wife to be in ways that she'll never know because she doesn't really need to. And I'm just going to stalk her on the internet because
She's she's pretty
I
unfiltered too
love
on the
it.
internet, although not in an aggressive way. In a like,
No,
well,
exactly. The opposite of you.
uh, yeah, she's very vulnerable, but not in a hostile way. In a wow, that's difficult to share. You know, she's very much tries to make people feel seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think she does a good job of that too. That's why I internet stalk her.
She's
I
great.
like her. Awesome. Okay, well, I'm gonna wrap this up then. Thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. I do enjoy getting to talk to you. So this is fucking awesome. Thanks,
Same.
man.
Thank you. I
All
appreciate you.
right, bye everybody. Thanks. Bye.